I'm Terry Hayes with the Tri-Lakes Chamber of Commerce. As it's getting kind of warm outside, people are looking for something lighter in their libations. And so I'm very happy to welcome Dirk Stamp with the Wine Cellar. They're located right in Palmer Lake, just as before you go up to the hill on Palmer Lake. They're on the left-hand side. So Dirk, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Terry. I appreciate it. And to you, Laura, as well. So you asked to talk a little bit about some, fun lighter beverages, adult beverages for the summertime. So one of the things I thought would be interesting just to set it up as a topic would be hard seltzers are really popular right now. Those little cans of different seltzers. And I thought I would have a little fun to differentiate between a hard seltzer and a spritzer. So you have the difference to me, a seltzer is grain alcohol, flavors, and carbonated water. Whereas a wine spritzer is, instead of using a neutral grain alcohol, they use an actual wine base for their alcoholic side, then natural flavors as well as carbonated water. So I've got an example, because I don't carry any of the hard seltzers, because everybody else has those. This is a great example of a canned different. So this is a really cute one called Peach Blossom Rosé. There's the Lemongrass Rosé, and they come in little 4-packs. And I don't know if I can get them up. Does that look better, or but anyway, they're little cans. They're really cute, and I love them because they're all natural. They use just a little bit of cane sugar. It's mostly water and wine, and then you make a spritzer. So, but before these became popular, the cans, the original Spritz or Spritzer was taking, I'll show you, the Italian aperitivo Aperol, which has this a sweet orangey herbal characteristic to it. And then in Italy, they cut it with your favorite, Terry, which is the Prosecco. So you've got and the traditional way of doing this is you put it in a wine glass full of ice, and you start with the Prosecco, and you pour the Prosecco in the glass about halfway, and then you finish it on top with the Aperol. The Aperol is a little bit stronger. It's it's only 11% alcohol by volume, so 22 proof is what they would call that. But it adds this beautiful kind of fluorescent orange color to your drink, and they drink them all over Europe. They're particularly popular in northern Italy. But that's what they call the classic Spritz. So now we're going to talk about, just if you don't want to use a liqueur and a Prosecco, the poor man's version, or the really simple way to do a spritzer, is to take, here's your wine glass. So I'm going to do one demonstration here with this guy. So you've got a nice wine glass full of some nice fresh ice. And then I always like to use a good carbonated Italian mineral water. San Pellegrino is widely available. This is just from a smaller producer. I like it because it has a little more distinct minerality characteristics to it. So, and of course it's going to blow up a little bit because we're at altitude. But so I'm going to to make a wine spritz cocktail, you go ahead and fill your glass about, let's say, half full, like you said you would with the spritz. And then I'm going to start off with a rosé spritzer, because I love rosé in the summertime. I think, a good classic French rosé has the beautiful light red fruit characteristics, but the fresh body of a white wine. So, and a lot of people think it's kind of taboo to cut their wine, but I'm going to tell you right now that it will not make a distinct difference in the taste, and extends it and also lowers the alcohol. So then you just pour your wine on top, and I make an important distinction here, that it's important to start with your base water, because the alcohol in the wine will keep some of the wine on top. So when you take your first sip, you get a really good shot full of the rosé wine. So if you had poured the rosé in first and then the water, you're going to get a big shot of water. And I was like, okay, if you're making a wine spritzer, you want to taste the wine first, right? Fair enough. So this is just and the beauty of a wine spritzer is you can use pretty much any wine you want. I mean, you can use rosés in the summertime. I like to recommend, if you're using a rosé, you want it to be naturally, fruit driven and fresh. It doesn't have to be necessarily sweet, although it can be. But, some of those really more delicate Provence rosés are better off by themselves. This one is from southern France, but not from Provence. So it's just the Jean-Luc Colombo, which I had to do because our son's name is Jean-Luc. So this is kind of our house wine. We do Mr. Colombo for our daily rosé consumption. But other fun options would be, I've got a Mediterranean white wine here. It's fun. It comes in a liter bottle. It's a blend of really more ripe, aggressive grapes like Vermentino, Sauvignon Blanc, Grenache Blanc, because you don't want a wimpy white wine if you're going to dilute it with a little bit of water. You want to really be able to still taste that flavor. But I shy away from things like Chardonnay heavy wines because the Chardonnay and the oakiness to me aren't as refreshing as a more unoaked natural wine. So that's why I like this little, you can find any kind of a good base white wine from southern France. But you could even do, if you really love red wine, you could do a red wine spritzer, and it looks really pretty. This is a fun little wine called El Torito. It's an inexpensive Spanish Tempranillo Grenache blend. So you just get a big mouthful of juicy, ripe red fruit. So if you cut it down a little bit, you're still really going to taste the red fruit character of the wine, but give you a lighter, essentially if you're using water, you're cutting the alcohol in half. So you're going from a 12 to 13% beverage down to anywhere, depending upon how much water you use, from 5 to 8% alcohol by volume. So it's a nice way to extend your drinking opportunities into the summer. So what else was I going to say? The other classic versions of a summer beverage would be a bottled sangria. This is a sangria that actually is made in the United States. It's really cool. They do, it's a white wine blended with natural fruit juices and then natural flavoring. So it actually has, when you pick it up, the pulp is on the bottom. So you literally have to be able to shake it up before you serve it. And you could make a sangria spritzer too if you wanted to just cut it a little bit. But yeah, I think those are a few options. One other classic cocktail that I wanted to mention is a Scotch and soda. So instead of you can take the same water, because in a really refreshing. So you pour a little bit of water in here, and then you do what I love for something a little bit different. Let me show you a really cool Japanese whiskey, because the Japanese are really big about doing a Scotch and soda type of a cocktail. That's their summer refresher, because the Japanese really aren't big wine fans, but they like a little bit of Scotch. So, and then you just wave, again, it's a key to have the water in first, and you just pour a little bit of Scotch in on top, and then again, the Scotch stays on top. So when you take your first little sip, you get a nice little hit of the Scotch or whiskey, whatever kind you like. Oh, that's dangerous. I kind of like that one. But anyway, so there's my two initial renditions. You've got a rosé wine spritzer and a Scotch and soda. All kinds of, you can really just let your imagination run wild and experiment and have fun. So we talked about wine, we talked about the different sangrias and then the Scotch and soda. Another fun style of beer in the summer. This is one that you can get from Austria, and it's a style they call a Robler. And a Robler is combining beer and fruit juice together. And it's really popular during the ski season in Austria and Germany. And this happens to be one that's made by Stiegl in Salzburg in Austria. And they use grapefruit. And you can get different flavors from other producers. And you might start seeing more of these Rodlers by I know some of the Colorado breweries are doing their version where they combine the fruit juices and the beer. But it's just kind of fun. These are particularly low in alcohol. They actually call it a malt beverage. So I think it's less than 3%. So it's almost like just good, a nice malty, adult milkshake, so to speak, without the milk. But anyway, that's pretty much all I had.